All right, welcome to another session, or episode of Mr. D's math class. In this session, we are going to show you multiplying fractions, but by reducing fractions first. Okay, so it's just a quick review here of how to multiply fractions. If you recall, this is just simply multiplying the numerators and then multiplying the denominators. Much easier than adding or subtracting fractions. So we don't need a lowest common denominator here. So now 3 times 2 becomes 6, and 4 times 5 becomes 20. But notice, if you viewed my reducing fractions video, you'll notice that there is a common factor of 2 between 6 and 20. And because they're both even numbers, you can do that, because even numbers have a common factor of 2 at the very least. And so 6 divided by 2 will give you 3, and then 20 divided by 2 will give you 10. Okay? But in this session, we are going to show you that you can reduce this 2 and 4 before you get to this part, which is the longer way. We have to reduce it in the end. You can reduce it even before you multiply any of these. If you notice, 2 and 4 do have a common factor of 2 between them. So you can divide both of those by 2 before you multiply. 4 divided by 2 will give you 2. 2 divided by 2 will give you 1. And so now here's your new multiplication. 3 over 2 multiplied by 1 over 5. Which in the end will be 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 5 is 10. Same answer. Okay? But here we're going to emphasize the trick that you can reduce these before you even multiply them. So let's try another example here and see if you can get this. What about this one? 3/8 multiplied by 4 over 15. Okay? Again, if you don't see it right away, the questions in this assignment really purposely do have common factors between numerator and denominator, diagonal numerator and denominator. Okay? Do you notice that 4 is a common factor between 4 and 8? Well, if you do, then you can divide both of those by 4. And that'll give you 4 divided by 4 here is 1, 8 divided by 4 here is 2. Do you also notice that there's a greatest common factor of 3 between 3 and 15? Well, this is what they're trying to get you to do in this session. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 15 divided by 3 is 5. And so here, then, is your new multiplication. This becomes 1/2 times 1 over 5. Okay? And that is equal to 1 times 1 and 2 times 5, 1/10. This is what they want you to be able to do in this section of our assignment. Because let's say you didn't know. Well, this will just make our job a lot harder reducing in the end. Okay? So if we didn't do this first one, then we're just going to get 3 times 4 here, which is 12, and then 8 times 15 here, which is 80 plus 40 was 120. Okay? And now we have a common factor here. Hopefully you do notice common factor of 12. Well, that just makes our job a little harder in the end. So what they're trying to do is get you to do this first, reduce the fractions first, numerators and denominators, diagonal, and then multiply it so that we don't have to go through this huge common factor division later on. Okay? I just want to show you why you're allowed to do this. Okay? why is it that you're allowed to reduce those diagonal fractions with each other? Well, hope you listen to this. When you're multiplying fractions, remember, you're multiplying numerators and you multiply denominators, but in the end, it really doesn't matter what order you're multiplying these, does it? You can switch these guys around because 3 times 4 is the same as 4 times 3. Agreed? I'm not going to change this one because I'm trying to emphasize a point here. So now, when you split this up back to the fractions, then you're going to have 4 over 8 times 3 over 15. Okay? And now you can see, again, from my previous video in reducing fractions, you'll see now that there is common factors of 4 between 4 and 8. So that'll give you 1 here and 2 here. This will be equal to 1/2. And you'll notice that there is common factors of 3 here, common factors 3 here, and so this reduces to 1/5. Okay? And then that'll give you 1/10. And that's why you're allowed to do that, because in the end, it really doesn't matter what order you're multiplying numerators or denominators. Okay? So, let's try a couple more examples, and I hope this hits home. Okay? Let's try this one. Let us see if we can do, how about 8/9 multiplied by 3/10. Give you a couple of seconds. Do you see a common factor between 3 and 9? Do you see a common factor between 8 and 10? If it did, good for you. You're smart as a genius. Okay? The common factor between 3 and 9 is probably 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both of those by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And do you geniuses see a common factor between 8 and 10? Well, here's a hint for you. They're both even numbers at least. So you know you can divide those by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so now your new multiplication is 4 over 3 times 1 over 5. In the end, 4 times 1 is 4, and 3 times 5 is 15. Okay? So please get used to doing that. Examine these numerators and denominators that diagonally across from each other and see if you can find a common factor between both of them. Okay? Let's try one more. Let's try this one. Let's try a difficult one here. Let's try 34 over 33 multiplied by 22 over 17. Yes, a little more challenging. But you geniuses can see this. Let's try the 22 and 33 first. Can you see that 11 is a common factor in both of these? I hope so. 22 divided by 11 is 2. 33 divided by 11 is 3. What about the 34 and 17? Yes, if you do count multiples of 17, 17 is a common factor in between 17 and 34. 17 divided by 17 is 1, and 34 divided by 17 is 2. And so here's your new multiplication, 2/3 multiplied by 2 over 1. Okay, and now this then becomes 2 times 2, which is 4, and 3 times 1, which is 3. Aha! we have an example of an improper fraction. This, ladies and gentlemen, will have no choice but to be transformed into a long division. In this case, it's 4 divided by 3, which translates to 4 divided by 3. And so how many 3's are in 4? 1. And then 1 times 3. Subtracting this will give you the remainder, and our answer is 1 1/3. 1 1/3. Alright, so let's try one last example and see if this hits home. Let's try this one. Actually, this is a lot easier, a little bit easier than the last one. 5/6 times 3/10. Do you see a common factor between 6 and 3? Yes, good for you. It is 3. So 3 divided by 3 here is 1. 6 divided by 3 here is 2. Do you see a common factor between 5 and 10? Good for you. It is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay, so remember, in this lesson, that's what you should do first. Otherwise, you're just going to make your life a little harder when you multiply without reducing it first. So 1 over 2 in this fraction, and then 1 over 2 in this fraction. And that will give you 1 times 1, 2 times 2. And that'll give us 1/4. So I do hope this is a helpful video to most of you. Please, yes, reduce your fractions before you multiply it. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit harder to find a greatest common factor in the end if you don't. Okay? So good luck. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.